Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I do want to speak about Xavi Hernandez's decision and the demands that Xavi Hernandez will be having for Barcelona for the next season. So it does say here, according to Xavi Torres, that Xavi has changed his mind. But first, Joan Laporta, Deco, and Xavi must meet. Now, like I've said, I knew that Xavi Hernandez was going to change his mind to stay at Barcelona. Now, why would he change his mind and continue at this club? It is mainly because there is that sense, right, that there is unfinished business. Like, why would you want to go out now when you know that you need vengeance? You cannot go out like that knowing that you can give so much more. This Barcelona squad can bring so much more success. Just look at the way Barcelona got out against Real Madrid in the Spanish Super Cup, or how we lost against Real Madrid in the Clásico, or how we lost against PSG in the Champions League. There is vengeance. Xavi Hernandez wants the payback, and I believe that Xavi Hernandez saw what happened in the past 3 months. The players wanted to play for him, and the fans also continued to support Xavi no matter what. This was the problem back in January. The reason why he said that I am leaving is because he felt like these players did not want to play for him, and the fans were only making noise. In other words, negative noise, and it was very toxic. And that's why Xavi said, you can't do anything at this club, and that it is best for me to leave. But again, the feelings have changed. Barcelona really did improve after that announcement. Xavi Hernandez no longer feels alone, and he feels like these players will respond to what he does have to say. And there is a massive margin of improvement for these players, and Xavi Hernandez wants to be there for the players. Just imagine a father saying that I'm going to leave you at the age of 12 to 13 years old because I'm just simply too tired. No, the father is going to say, I'm not going to leave you at 12 or 13 years old. I'm going to continue to educate you, continue to father you, so you can become the best person ever when you do get older. The same thing is being done between Xavi and the players. He's going to nurture the players, make them become a better version of themselves. And so the reason why Joan Laporta, Deco, and Xavi still need to meet, it is because they want to solidify his continuity, and that's basically it. And also they're going to be talking about what's going to be possible in the summer, and Xavi Hernandez is going to have to work within those boundaries. I don't expect for Xavi to be that strict like many of us do expect. I know that Xavi Hernandez is demanding certain players, but he's not going to be so strict. He's not going to be saying, okay, if I don't get these 3 players in the summer and you guys can't guarantee me that right now, then I will be leaving. I don't think that Xavi Hernandez is coming with that type of, I just don't believe that Xavi Hernandez is coming out with that type of attitude. It just seems too unreal. But I would like to think that Joan Laporta and Deco are going to be saying, we are going to be trying our hardest. We will go on and pull many financial levers. We'll make these deals, we'll sell some players, and we'll do everything that it takes to make sure you get the squad that you do want, so you can be even more successful next season. And most importantly, I believe that Laporta will say, you will not lose one of your most important players this season, like what happened last summer. Xavi Hernandez lost 2 very important players, Busquets and Dembélé. He wanted Busquets and Dembélé, but because Busquets left, Xavi Hernandez needed a replacement, and Barcelona could not do that. Xavi Hernandez also wanted Dembélé, but when Dembélé went to PSG and he was asking for a replacement, Barcelona again could not bring a big time replacement for the player. And the main reason why they even lost Dembélé in the first place was because of financial reasons. I believe that Joan Laporta will say the exact same thing in this summer and say, you will not lose anybody important. We promise. And so I do think that Barcelona will do everything possible to make sure he does continue and make sure that it is solidified in the meeting on Wednesday. What other choice are we going to have? I know that we have the choice of Rafa Marquez, but dude, it's the exact same results and the exact same expectations that we are going to be getting from Rafa Marquez. I know that everybody has been saying, oh yeah, Xavi should go out, but if you say that Xavi should go out, who do you think should replace Xavi Hernandez that can do a better job for Xavi? Because if you're saying Xavi out, then I'm assuming that you probably know a better option that I don't know about. So who is that next coach that should replace Xavi Hernandez? But if you don't have a name and all you're saying is Xavi out, then you are just here to spread negativity, and that's it. You're not here to really criticize and have thoughtful conversations with other people. So in terms of what that meeting is actually going to be about, that will be held on Wednesday, it says here, according to Alex Pintanel, that Xavi believes that in order to compete with the best, he needs a fullback, a top pivot, which is either Kimmich or Zubimendi, and a player like Bernardo Silva. These are going to be the main priorities and the conversations that will take place on Wednesday. Xavi Hernandez also demands to have a very strong saying in all sporting decisions without much interference from the sporting director or president. So it is going to be very interesting to see how that meeting does play out. And I hope that Joan Laporta and Deco can assess all of this on the spot and just make sure that Xavi Hernandez is safe immediately. And I'm wondering, right, maybe let's just say, for example, we cannot get this player. Is the president and Deco going to be saying, we cannot get this player, we're going to have to look in through La Masia to make sure that position is covered? What do you think? I feel like they're going to be saying things like that. And the fact that Xavi Hernandez also said that he's going to want to make strong decisions on the sporting decisions, I'm dude, I understand and I get it. It's going to make Xavi's job much easier to transition those players into the first team, because usually it's not the coach that says, okay, here is going to be the list of players that I think can reinforce this position, and I expect to get this player into the first team. Like, coaches usually don't do that and do not have that much control. Look at what happened with Valverde at Barcelona. When he was here at Barcelona, the sporting director was throwing so many players at Valverde, got them to the first team, and Valverde had the responsibility to say like, oh yeah, okay, so this player here, he's gonna have to fit in this position, even though I did not really want him. I have to figure something out. Like, it's a headache. They were just a bunch of players that Valverde never really called for, and he had to fit everybody within that squad. For example, even right now, Estevao Williams and a player named Claudio Echeverri, who went to Man City, those two players, they were being called by Deco. Xavi Hernandez never once said that I want to call Estevao Williams and Claudio Echeverri to Barcelona. Never once. Joao Felix has also been a player that Xavi Hernandez never wanted. Deco called the player. Xavi Hernandez wanted someone like Dani Olmo into the squad. So I believe that Xavi Hernandez is going to be in much more within the conversations of like building a list of options for the squad. Like, what type of transfers should we make? Who should be greenlighted? And then assess the next phase of that list and say, okay, these are going to be the final three. But for this video specifically, and in this summer, the focus is on Bernardo Silva, Zubimendi, Kimmich, and a fullback. I'm going to be talking about the reason why Xavi Hernandez is opting for Bernardo Silva, and then speak about Kimmich. I'm not going to be talking about Zubimendi nor the fullback, because I think that I have talked about Zubimendi enough. And as for the fullback position, I'm going to be explaining that in a whole other separate video, because I don't want this video to be too long, but it does regard Cancelo. So all the focus is going to be on Silva and Kimmich and why Xavi Hernandez wants the player. Starting with Silva is because of two reasons. Point number one, Rafinha is prospering as a left winger. Now there is more space on the right wing because Rafinha is barely being played on the right wing position. If he ever does play on the right flank, it's because he's playing as a right central midfielder. Like, really think about that, right? When was the last time Rafinha played as a right winger? It has been a very long time. And Rafinha has been so good on the left wing, like the way that he makes those runs behind the defense, the crosses, right? Because he is left-footed, he can make an easy cross into the box from the left side. And he works much better with Cancelo than someone like Jules Koundé. And I believe that this also ensures the continuity of Rafinha. The fact that Bernardo Silva is now being eyed is because Rafinha has made the left wing position his own, and we're no longer going to be prioritizing signing a left winger like what we have been talking about over the past 2 months. Moving on towards point number two, the fact that the right wing position only has one player left, which is Lamine Yamal. Of course, Xavi Hernandez is going to be saying, I want Silva. Yamal cannot play everything. Bernardo Silva would be coming in here to take off minutes from Yamal, and Yamal is going to be needing the rest. Why make Yamal play every minute and in every game only for him to potentially get injured down the road? We don't want that. Bernardo Silva is going to come over here and be a starter, and Yamal within these next 2 or 3 years will become a impact sub. And there's also going to be games, of course, where Yamal can start, but most likely it will be Silva starting with Yamal as the backup. And the good thing from all of this is that Xavi Hernandez is not losing anything with Lamine Yamal taking that step down, because Bernardo Silva is someone who knows how to dribble. He knows take-on abilities. He can cut from the inside. His key passes are amazing. Bernardo Silva is basically Lamine Yamal, but 10 steps ahead and with like 10 more years of experience. So I think that it would be a phenomenal signing, and a signing that would make a lot of sense. Now let's move on to the conversation of the pivot position and speak about Kimmich specifically. I know that again, Zubimendi is also in the conversation, but I've talked about him enough. Let's talk about Kimmich, because Kimmich has been questioned a lot by the Barcelona fan base. First things first, Kimmich is a veteran. He has been coached by Pep Guardiola and Hansi Flick, two coaches who I know made a huge impact in his career. He also does have a lot of Champions League experience. Recently, he just scored the winning goal for Bayern Munich and to go to the semifinals of the Champions League. So this guy definitely has a lot of experience on knowing what it's like to play in knockout rounds. Xavi Hernandez needs that, very similar to like what Gundogan brings to Barcelona. It is the experience, the leadership. Look at how much we appreciate how Gundogan talks to the press and how he likes to be very self-critical of the team. Kimmich is going to do the exact same thing because we know his character, we know his leadership. And even though Kimmich will be 29 years old when he comes to Barcelona, that is irrelevant, because in the way that this player has been playing, seeing how Gundogan still has a great level at the age of 34, 33 years old, Kimmich can come over here and play for a total of 3 to 4 years. That's good enough, because by the time we end those 3 to 4 years, most likely Barcelona would be able to find that next pivot. So it would be a perfect transition. I remember there was a moment like about 2 years ago, back on November 2022, when Barcelona did play against Bayern away. I remember Kimmich speaking with many Barcelona players, Pedri, Xavi, Frankie sometimes. They were in the tunnel and Kimmich was saying to the players, I'm really impressed with how you guys played. It was amazing. Like the football they guys played against us, you guys were the dominant ones. So Kimmich, I can tell he is a Barcelona fan, and I believe that Kimmich would eventually want to be a Barcelona player. Also, Xavi Hernandez and Kimmich met before, back in 2019, and they're both huge friends. So I'm pretty sure Xavi Hernandez knows Kimmich, not just as a player, but as a person, and Kimmich maybe does trust Xavi Hernandez, and that relationship can go a long way at Barcelona. Let me tell you guys another thing. I remember watching this game, which was between City and Chelsea, penalty where City won 1-0. Silva scored the winning goal, by the way. A player that, of course, Barcelona do want. But I remember watching that game, and Rodri really did impress me. Since we are talking about the pivot position, I want to talk about this player. You guys will understand why. Rodri impressed me a lot. Yes, because he is a world-class pivot and because he defends very well. But one thing that I have noticed about Rodri that many people don't even talk about is that he can run high with the ball and act like a number 8, a central midfielder, act like if he was Pedri or Xavi. Like in the way that he does move, in the way that he does pass, or the way that he does shoot, he can become a central midfielder when needed and just run into those open spaces and really be effective to maybe score goals. This is why Pep Guardiola makes Rodri so essential, is because he can move from the 6th position, like during the game, from the 6th position and into the number 8 position and go through those phases within the field. This is what gives City so many numerical advantages in the final third, is because he's a player that's very hard to stop. Many never expect for Rodri to go up that high with the ball. There's a reason why he can score so many goals and provide so many assists, is because he can act like an 8. A player that we have right now that's a 6 is Christensen. Be honest, Christensen is a great pivot, somebody who knows how to defend and operate in open spaces, but he does not have the ability to act like a number 8. Yes, of course, I know that he just scored 2 headers, but when he is on the ball and he has to like break down a low block, Christensen cannot really do that with the ball, but someone like Rodri can. So what's the point here? With Kimmich, he can do the exact same thing, and I believe that is the main reason why Xavi Hernandez wants the player. Kimmich knows how to go from the 6th position and into the number 8 position. When he does have the ball, he can really convert himself into an effective central midfielder, and that's going to be very important because that's going to be shocking so many La Liga clubs next season. And I know that we have also had conversations about us needing a central defensive midfielder that is a ball winner, somebody more physical, and I get it, but let's also understand, right, the type of team that Xavi Hernandez wants to assemble next season. He's gonna want a team that can gain back control of the ball, because in this season it has not been it. Like in terms of us having the majority of the possession, Barcelona cannot do that. We lost so much possession against PSG that we had to like switch our own game. The Barcelona that we see today is not the team that we want it to be. We want a team that knows how to dominate possession and be effective in the final third, and of course defend very well. We have the attacking phases locked in. We're really good at that. We also know how to defend, but we don't know how to control the possession. PSG outpassed us so many times. Real Madrid also had more possession than us in the first 25 minutes. When does that ever happen? We really did lose that aspect of the game, and the reason why is because it's not because Xavi Hernandez wants to, but because he is forced to, because we don't have a pivot. We don't have another player that can command possession and regain the ball as fast as possible. We do need a technical pivot in order for us to make that happen, because when you do have a lot of technical players in the middle of the pitch and somebody who understands positional play, aka Joshua Kimmich, you're going to be able to have a very compact team when you do have the ball. And this is something that we have seen under Pep Guardiola. It was a very compact team, a team that was very tight together, and every time we did lose the ball, we counter press. Like the counting press that we had under Pep was just so insane, it wasn't even funny. We gained back the ball within like 4 to 5 seconds. Even though the players were physically like smaller than other players, we still regained the ball extremely fast. That was one of the ways we were able to like combat the physicalness, is because we made the field small and we left very little space for the opponent. And I believe that Xavi Hernandez wants the exact same thing next season with Kimmich in the middle of the field. I know that a lot of this is like so foreign and you guys are probably like, what the hell is this guy even talking about? Just go look at how Barcelona played back in 2011. Of course, Xavi Hernandez is going to feel a little impacted on how Barcelona played around that era because he was in that era. And of course, there is going to be some slight differences from that team because modern football is very different to the football that we have seen about 15 years ago. But I do see the picture here. I do see the reason why Xavi Hernandez really is opting for Kimmich. As for the fullback position, just to like make a quick summary, because again, I'm going to be making another like separate video on this, but in regards to Cancelo, if you guys are wondering like what type of fullback, is it a right back or a left back? It's mainly because of Cancelo. Cancelo is currently on loan, which means that he is on trial. We have seen through this season that Cancelo, when he is on the ball, he is amazing. He knows how to provide assists, he can score goals, amazing. But when he does not have the ball and the team is attacking us and we have to defend, his defense is so bad, it's not even funny. Cancelo showed his true colors against PSG and Madrid, two very important games, and Cancelo under-delivered. Like, Cancelo cannot defend for his life, and that aspect of his game needs so much more improving. Again, it's just not even funny. I'm like, dude, this could probably be the reason why you may not continue at Barcelona, because you showed your true colors against PSG and Madrid, two of our most important games, and we're gonna need to like count on you next season when we're in predicaments like this. I understand now, and the reason why Pep Guardiola let go of Cancelo and why he does not want him is because he cracks under big games, and that is why the conversation about us needing a new fullback and why Xavi Hernandez is demanding a fullback is very new. It's because recently Cancelo showed his true colors and how bad he really is defensively. Like, this guy cannot defend the back post for nothing. It's just crazy. And he's also the reason, like, in the way that Dembele scored the goal, I'm like, dude, Cancelo, where were you? You were non-existent. The way that Cancelo had to, like, stop, I forgot who the player was, but Cancelo needed to stop a player against Real Madrid, and it's what led to Kubarsi supposedly getting that penalty that went against Barcelona. I'm like, Cancelo, like, dude, you are so horrible defensively. But again, this is going to be in a whole other separate video. I am going to be assessing the Joao brothers. Now, knowing that there's only 6 games left, I think that it is safe to say we need to talk about and assess the tenure that the Joao brothers had at Barcelona and whether they should continue at this club, yes or no. So that is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.